After rebuffing a love confession from a fellow classmate, Japanese schoolboy Koyamori sinks into a deep state of melancholy. His nights become restless, leaving him unable to find solace in slumber. In search of respite, he finds himself aimlessly wandering the dimly lit streets. It is during one of these nocturnal excursions that he encounters a captivating girl named Nezuna. Nezuna, perceptive to Yamori's nighttime restlessness, discerns that his dissatisfaction stems from a lack of fulfillment in his life. Motivated by a desire to help him rediscover his purpose, she invites him to her apartment, extending an offer for him to find solace in sleep. Strangely, she insists that they share a bed, causing Yamori's nerves to flutter. Fearing vulnerability, he feigns a deep slumber, concealing his apprehension. It is within the intimate confines of the apartment that Nezuna unveils her true nature as a vampire, her intentions veiled in secrecy. Intriguingly, she chooses to sample Yamori's blood, finding it unexpectedly delectable. Confounded by this revelation, Yamori musters the courage to confront her. To his relief, Nezuna assures him that he will not undergo the transformation into a vampire, explaining that such a fate befalls only those who fall in love with a vampire and are subsequently bitten. Embarrassed by her candid confession, Nezuna reaches for a beer to divert attention from the matter. Yamori experiences a fleeting sense of relief, only to be swiftly overtaken by renewed disappointment. Unwilling to return to the mundanity of his former life, he believes he has stumbled upon something capable of rekindling excitement within him. In an audacious move, he implores Nezuna to grant him more time together, with the aim of falling in love and thus joining the ranks of the vampires. Initially hesitant, Nezuna reluctantly agrees to spend more nights with Yamori on the condition that he offers his blood in return. Should his affection for her grow, so be it. Nezuna once again causes Yamori great embarrassment as she equates her consumption of his blood to the intimacy of a physical relationship. Undeterred by this revelation, Yamori firmly reiterates his unwavering desire to embrace the life of a vampire. However, his audacity inadvertently mortifies Nezuna when he offers his own blood in return. The following night, jealousy consumes Yamori, as he learns from Nezuna that she indulges in the consumption of blood from random individuals. Seeking a sense of connection, he proposes exchanging contact information, only to be informed that she does not possess a phone. Curiosity piqued, Nezuna guides him to her apartment, where she proudly displays her vintage brick phone as an alternative means of communication. As the night progresses, Nezuna prepares for slumber, extending a nervous invitation for Yamori to join her. Initially hesitant to allow her to partake of his life force, Yamori relents when she confides that she had been actively seeking his presence that very evening. In a subsequent night, Yamori presents Nezuna with a wrist receiver, enabling them to communicate from a distance, with him holding the transmitter. From afar, he playfully suggests that they behave like a couple, much to her chagrin. Upon the school's rooftop, he affectionately addresses her as Nezuna-chan and formally requests her friendship. Later that same night, pondering Nezuna's whereabouts, Yamori's wrist receiver detects a signal. Just as he wonders about her location, another girl, equipped with the complimentary wrist receiver, appears beside him, setting the stage for an unexpected encounter. Akira Asai reveals to Yamori that she had been waiting for him to reach out to her, but he never did. Nonetheless, she expresses her happiness upon seeing him. Yamori's mind drifts back to the time when Akira first extended her friendship towards him, recalling the details of their connection. The following day, Nezuna playfully taunts Yamori, suggesting that he had gone to meet another girl. His reaction inadvertently confirms her suspicions. As he departs, Yamori encounters Akira, but Nezuna unexpectedly appears, teasing them both. To prove a point about the nature of their relationship, Nezuna brazenly drinks Yamori's blood right before Akira's eyes. Within the confines of a cozy cafe, Yamori confides in Akira, explaining that he allows Nezuna to partake of his blood due to his discontentment with the monotony of school. Sympathizing with his sentiment, Akira shares her own dissatisfaction and proposes that they return to school together. Lost in contemplation over past events, Yamori's thoughts intertwine with the sight of a nearby couple engaged in a tender kiss. Convinced that he has already fallen in love with Nezuna, he succumbs to a surge of eagerness as she finds him. Without hesitation, Yamori willingly offers his blood, hoping for a transformative outcome. However, Nezuna dispels his misconception, explaining that he has mistaken love for mere desire. As their conversation progresses, both Yamori and Nezuna disclose that their shared kiss was their first. Curiously, Nezuna believes that kissing is a gesture exchanged between friends. The following night, Yamori extends an invitation to Akira, inviting her to join them at Nezuna's apartment. Once there, they engage in video game battles, with Nezuna playfully offering kisses as rewards to those who can surpass her skill. Caught off guard, Akira stumbles upon the revelation of the kiss shared between Yamori and Nezuna. Flustered, she attempts to dissuade him from developing romantic feelings for a vampire. However, Nezuna clarifies that Yamori's sentiments towards her have yet to solidify. As they indulge in a dating simulation game, the trio eventually settles down to sleep, despite Akira feeling a sense of unease with all of them occupying the same bed. Seeking to assuage Akira's concerns, Nezuna explains the nature of their mutually advantageous relationship. Finally, Yamori confides in Akira, revealing his conviction that he will transform into a vampire if he falls in love with Nazuna. As Nazuna drifts off to sleep, Akira reassures Yamori that their friendship can endure even if he embarks on the path of becoming a vampire. She adds that she remains steadfast in her determination to persuade him to return to school. Nazuna finds herself within the tranquil confines of a bathhouse, where she instructs the attendant to promptly notify her should her wrist receiver emit a single beep. In a sudden frenzy, she dashes out of the bath, meeting Yamori outside, draped solely in a flowing, long jacket. After Yamori himself indulges in a bath, he finds himself experiencing unfamiliar sensations as he beholds Nazuna's transformed appearance, a fact she takes delight in teasing him about. Succumbing to their weariness, they resolve to find a place of rest, unaware that they have unwittingly entered a love hotel. Within the confines of this secluded haven, Nazuna unveils a peculiar ability to discern a person's thoughts through the taste of their blood. She confesses to deliberately provoking Yamori's emotions, seeking to savor a richer essence. Upon their departure, Yamori's jealousy flares as Nazuna spots an individual from whom she had previously consumed blood. Calming his apprehensions, she reassures him that he is her sole focus at present. Together, they make their way to Nazuna's apartment, where she unveils her occupation as the proprietor of the home massage parlor. Willing to bestow her therapeutic skills upon Yamori, she tenders a massage free of charge. Guided by her expertise, she targets the soothing pressure points in his body. However, their intimate moment is abruptly interrupted by the arrival of a client. Yamori is obliged to greet the newcomer, while Nazuna immerses herself in playful activities within her room. Promising him a kiss as a reward for assuming her responsibilities, she leaves Yamori momentarily astounded. Kiyosumi Shirakawa reminisces about the initial encounter when she first availed herself of Nazuna's massage services. Fast forward to the present, and it is Yamori who lies in anticipation of Kiyosumi's skilled touch. Curious about his motives, Kiyosumi inquires about his aspirations, to which Yamori candidly expresses his weariness with the school system and his yearning to simply relish the nights. In a sudden realization, Kiyosumi becomes acutely aware of her own deep dissatisfaction with her line of work, succumbing to an overwhelming surge of emotions, tears streaming down her face. Concerned for her well-being, Yamori refuses to let her attend a call from her boss. Seeking to awaken a thrill akin to a brush with mortality, he encourages Nazuna to simulate a daring act by tossing Kiyosumi out of the window, only to catch her just in the nick of time. Apologizing for the frightening experience, Yamori confides in Kiyosumi, divulging his and Nazuna's secret desire to become vampires. He then escorts her to walk down the middle of the street, allowing her to savor a sense of liberation. Grateful for alleviating some of her burdens, Kiyosumi expresses her heartfelt appreciation to Yamori, encouraging him to pursue his aspirations. Unbeknownst to her, Yamori discloses his intention to transform her into a vampire as well, a revelation that elicits delight in Kiyosumi while causing a touch of embarrassment for Nazuna. In due course, they find themselves at a night pool resort, where Yamori's simmering jealousy prompts him to whisk Nazuna away from the advances of two persistent suitors. Sensing his possessiveness, Nazuna whisks Yamori to another pool, where they revel in each other's company, indulging in the pleasure of the moment as she partakes of his life-sustaining blood. While encountering Kiyosumi by chance, Yamori finds himself approached by an alluring, fair-haired woman, her figure slender and her demeanor radiating flirtatiousness. Engaging him in playful banter, she teases and entices. Revealing her discontent with the monotony of her existence, Yamori attempts to console her by asserting that their feelings align. In an impulsive surge, she leaps into his arms, poised to drain his lifeblood. Yet, Nazuna emerges just in the nick of time, thwarting the imminent danger. Clarifying the situation, she explains that the alternative would have been to consume all of his blood, leading to his demise. However, their respite is short-lived as another vampire intervenes, seizing Yamori and whisking him away to the rooftop of a towering building. There, in the company of additional vampires, Nico Harada, Midori Kohakobe, Hatsuka Suzushiro, and Kabira Honda, the introductions are made. The vampires lay bare their identities, their names echoing through the night air. Nico implores Yamori to select one among them, proclaiming that the chosen one shall ignite feelings of love and bring forth the transformation. Yet, Yamori resolutely rejects their advances, unwavering in his devotion to Nazuna. Meanwhile, Seri, a captivating blonde vampire, admonishes Nazuna, urging her to cease toying with Yamori's emotions if she has no intention of mating with him. Unexpectedly, Nazuna confesses her genuine desire to pursue such an intimate bond, leaving Seri taken aback. Yamori continues to spurn the advances of the other vampires, vehemently asserting that it is Nazuna who shall conquer his heart. At that very moment, she appears, her presence commanding and resolute. Observing Nazuna's newfound inclination towards procreation, the other vampire girls finally acquiesce to Yamori's choice. With unwavering determination, he proclaims his unwavering commitment to fall in love with Nazuna, regardless of the time it may take. The vampires elucidate to Yamori that a mere year is allotted for a human to transition into a vampire following their initial blood-sucking encounter. However, Nazuna dismisses this notion, seemingly unfazed by the passing time. In a gesture of gratitude, she bestows upon Yamori the long-awaited kiss promised to him. Yamori confides in Akira about his predicament, and she grimly explains the potential peril that awaits him once the year elapses, likely resulting in his demise. Upon returning home, Akira unexpectedly crosses paths with a tipsy Maharu Seki, an old acquaintance who passionately declares his love for a nocturnal companion. Yamori, on the other hand, coincidentally encounters Seri, who inquires about his progress with Nazuna. Intrigued by the concept of falling in love, Yamori seeks Seri's guidance. Sensing his curiosity, she endeavors to assist him, offering advice to embark on a romantic outing. However, Nazuna adamantly refuses, only succumbing to Yamori's persistence when he cunningly switches off her beloved game. Reluctantly, she agrees to the date, yet as the evening progresses, she discerns Seri's subtle influence, leading her to depart in disappointment. Engulfed by despondency, Yamori finds solace within the confines of his room, ruminating over his circumstances. It is at this moment that Nazuna stumbles upon his carefully crafted date plan, prompting her return to his abode. With an ethereal aura, she whisks him away on a thrilling flight through the night sky, mid-air, savoring the taste of his blood. In due course, Yamori encounters Seki socializing with his companions. Seizing the opportunity, he joins their company, accompanied by Akira, as they convene at the park. Unbeknownst to him, Yamori inadvertently instills a newfound sense of hope within Seki, inadvertently inspiring him through his sincere expression of friendship with Nazuna. In time, Nazuna reaches out to grasp Yamori's hand, a symbol of their shared determination to never be separated again. Serendipitously, Seki passes by, accompanied by his newfound girlfriend, bearing witness to the undeniable connection between Yamori and Nazuna. Yamori unexpectedly encounters Seri, only to be swiftly intercepted by a resolute Nazuna who vehemently thwarts Seri's advances. Nazuna boldly proclaims that it was Seri herself who condemned the bond between humans and vampires. Later, Yamori stumbles upon Seri once again, and they find themselves in a vibrant karaoke bar. Amidst the lively atmosphere, Seri imparts her understanding of the harsh realities that humanity can inflict, a sentiment that resonates with Yamori. Their conversation is abruptly interrupted by the persistent knocking of one of Seri's admirers. Although Yamori protests against her lethal intentions, Seri counters by asserting that her actions hold no moral weight if they do not impact the deceased. As she prepares to strike, Yamori valiantly interposes himself, leading to their swift escape from the scene. Yamori deduces that Akihito Akiyama harbors affection for Seri, recollecting their initial encounter when she stumbled upon him inebriated on the streets. In a timely turn of events, Seri materializes, poised to exact retribution upon Akiyama and Yamori for their interference. However, Nazuna intervenes from above, preventing any harm. Akiyama then unveils a poignant truth: they were once friends, but his inadvertent romantic sentiments clashed with Seri's vehement aversion to love. Seri acknowledges this revelation, and agrees to sever ties with Akiyama indefinitely. Nevertheless, overcome with emotion, she succumbs to tears, exclaiming her enjoyment of their friendship and her fervent desire to continue it. Moved by her sincerity, Akiyama offers to become her progeny, a proposition that Seri ultimately accepts, initiating his transformation into a vampire. With newfound harmony, they convene at the karaoke bar to revel in the momentous occasion, with Nazuna jubilantly proclaiming that she and Yamori can now take their time to embark on their own path. Midori finds herself in need of a suitable replacement for her shift at the vampire-themed maid cafe, a role that won't overshadow her own presence. After some persuasion, she convinces Nazuna to take up the job while she accompanies Yamori on one of their leisurely strolls. Yamori decides to remain at the cafe as a customer, where he is attended to by Arisa, another waitress with a profound passion for the maid cafe culture. As Midori prepares to upload photos to the cafe's social media, she stumbles upon a folder containing several surreptitious shots of Arisa. Concerned by this discovery, Midori seeks Yamori's assistance in uncovering the identity of the culprit behind these invasive photographs. Yamori and Nazuna carefully inspect the surroundings, attempting to unravel the mystery behind the peculiar angles captured in the pictures. In a moment of revelation, Yamori formulates a plan, arranging a trap with Midori later that night, ultimately ensnaring the true perpetrator in the act. Surprisingly, the culprit is none other than Arisa herself. Arisa openly admits to snapping these provocative photos, driven by a narcissistic longing for recognition after losing the esteemed top maid position to Midori. Contemplating her next course of action, Arisa contemplates resigning from the cafe. However, Midori, displaying remarkable compassion, extends forgiveness, recognizing that all the maid cafe employees are driven by a shared desire for acknowledgement and validation in their own unique ways. Nazuna utilizes the additional earnings she acquires from her cafe job to enhance the furnishings within her personal space. She then requests Yamori's assistance in procuring new clients for her unique sleeping business. Observing a fatigued woman smoking on a bridge, Yamori attempts to strike up a conversation with her, Intrigued, the woman leads him to a cozy cafe where Yamori endeavors to promote Nezuna's enterprise. However, in a somewhat jesting manner, she playfully threatens to report the cafe for infringing upon Japanese child labor laws. Introducing herself as Anko Yuguesu, a private detective, she seeks information from Yamori regarding Akihito, presenting him with a photograph of the individual who had an altercation with Seri recently. Yamori, fabricating ignorance, denies any knowledge of him. After a tense moment, Anko lets him off the hook. As a gesture of goodwill, Anko covers the cost of their coffee before departing, leaving Yamori with the change, which he subsequently uses to purchase beer for Nezuna. Unbeknownst to Yamori, Anko continues to surveil him from a distance. Later that night, Yamori rendezvouses with Maharu and Akira to explore the purported 7 mysteries surrounding their school. Most of these enigmas prove either non-existent or mundane upon investigation. However, while inspecting a supposedly haunted classroom, they stumble upon an elderly man who pounces on Akira, intent on siphoning her blood. Yamori valiantly fights him off, buying enough time for the trio to escape. Relentlessly pursuing them into the hallway, the man's pursuit reaches a critical point. At the opposite end, Anko makes a timely appearance, allowing him to meet his demise as a human, causing him to crumble to ash as the first rays of morning sunlight filter through the windows. Puzzled by Anko's intervention, Yamori questions why she couldn't let him perish undisturbed. Anko reprimands Yamori, chiding him for his naive perspective on vampires. Shaken by the unsettling events of the previous night, Yamori finds himself reevaluating his desire to become a vampire. Sensing his unease, Nezuna assures him that the starving vampire they encountered at the school is not representative of all vampires. Seeking solace and guidance, Yamori confides in Maharu about the night's events and is questioned about his motivations for pursuing vampirism, prompting him to contemplate whether it is truly a wise choice. Nezuna pays a visit to Yamori's apartment and opens up about her own extensive experience as a vampire, dispelling the glamorous illusions often associated with their kind. Uncertain of his path forward, Yamori seeks the counsel of Yuguesu, turning to her for advice and direction. Yuguesu, however, expresses her strong opposition to Yamori's aspirations of becoming a vampire, believing that vampires pose a threat to humanity. She presents him with a challenging ultimatum, demanding that he renounce his aspirations and promise to abandon the idea of becoming a vampire. In return, she pledges to protect him from the vampire community and disclose their weaknesses. Firmly standing his ground, Yamori steadfastly refuses to comply with Yuguesu's demands, asserting that not all vampires are inherently evil. In response, Yuguesu proceeds to contact the police, reporting Yamori for violating curfew regulations. Sensing the urgency, Yamori swiftly flees the area before law enforcement arrives, seeking refuge at a nearby playground. It is there that he encounters Hatsuka, who discovers him hiding and potentially offers a glimmer of hope amidst the uncertainty. Hatsuka guides Yamori to his residence, offering him a seat while he excuses himself to take a refreshing shower. Yamori makes a surprising discovery: Hatsuka is, in fact, a male. Meanwhile, Nezuna becomes convinced that Yamori has abandoned his desire to become a vampire and pleads with Nico and the other vampires to spare his life. This unexpected request infuriates Nico, causing her to vent her anger by forcefully shattering a nearby table. She then menacingly threatens to personally end Yamori's existence. In Hatsuka's dwelling, Yamori finds himself plagued by doubts as he reflects on his encounter with Anko and the demise of the elderly male vampire at her hands. Observing the photograph of the shattered table, Hatsuka proposes a swift solution to ensure the safety of both Yamori and Nezuna. He offers to transform Yamori into a vampire himself. Despite feeling a faint attraction towards Hatsuka, Yamori declines the offer, expressing his unwavering desire to be turned into a vampire by Nezuna, even if it means potentially facing the consequences together. Driven by determination, Yamori hastily ascends to the rooftop where he previously encountered the other vampires. Nico makes a desperate attempt to dissuade him from searching for Nezuna, asserting that she has departed and will not engage with him further. Frustrated by Nico's words, Yamori defiantly flees from the scene, embarking on a solitary quest to locate Nezuna. In a burst of frustration, he vehemently urges Nico to cease speaking. Finally, Yamori reunites with Nezuna at the familiar vending machine where their paths first crossed. In a hushed voice, Nezuna quietly vows to become a vampire worthy of inspiring love, sealing her promise with a tender kiss. And this is all for this video. Make sure to subscribe if you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.